missing someone. Love with all your heart. Missing someone. Love with heart.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. So this week I have a gray blending transformation for you guys. So this is a brand new client. She came in and our goal today is to kind of enhance her gray. This is all of her natural hair, but you can see the top is a little bit lighter than the ends. So we're kind of just going to be working on getting that a little bit more even, brightening up the ends, and just make it look a little bit more cohesive. But one of the main things that I had to be cautious of is she really wanted something that was going to enhance her gray and not make her feel too light or too blonde. So we're going to be working on doing a very dimensional placement to where she doesn't feel too light. So with this type of placement, my main focus is to brighten up the ends where there are dark spots and just to make her feel overall lighter. And so I'm starting in the back where the nape is, and I am just starting off with a small weave just to kind of break that up around her hairline. And for the rest of this, I will be doing a lot of slices, but keeping my slices nice and spread out. I don't want my slices too close together because, again, if I do something that might over highlight her, she might very well feel too blonde. So our goal today is to kind of do like a placement where less is more, meaning that it gives her enough sparkle and makes everything a lot more even, but again, just not over highlighting her, not making her feel too solid of a color, and keeping the dimension that her natural gray kind of has already. So as I go through the back, I'm just taking a center section and just doing slices throughout this whole part. For my slices, I'm making sure that they are pretty spread apart and they're very thin and see-through enough. I don't want to take a slice that's too chunky because with any type of like gray blending, you want to make sure that you get the really clean lift. So I take very thin slices to ensure that my lift will be even throughout the root to end. And I'm custom cutting my foils to the length of her hair because I really don't want to move any of the lightener that I'm placing on her hair, because I find that if I move it or bend it, sometimes those areas can lift a little bit uneven. So in the back, my spacing was about 1 inch that I started off with between the slices, but as I get closer towards the top here, my slices are a little bit closer together, but still keeping that very thin slice and making sure that it's pretty see-through enough. And for my products, I'm using the Blonde Me Sports Cuff Lightener. I did a first bowl of 6 and 20 volume, and then the rest of the head, I'm just going to be doing 20 volume throughout the rest. And for majority of the head, I chose to do slices because I find that slicing does replicate a gray pattern a bit more than weaving, in my opinion. So I just felt like this would help match and blend with her gray pattern the best. So for her front section around her face, she didn't want something that was going to be too bold because, again, she wanted that more natural look and feel. So I suggested that we do something that is just a more subtle, lighter in the front. So I chose to weave her front sections. And you can already tell from me clipping up the hair there that the front is lighter than the back. So I'm pretty much just kind of going with that. And instead of doing a front money piece where I would slice, I'm just weaving it to kind of create a softer money piece effect. But I'm not leaving any negative space in between. I'm just going right in and doing my weaves back to back. So after I do about 2 weaves around the hairline right in front of the face on the side there, I'm going in and doing a weave above the ear, and this is how I'm going to connect that front to the back section that I did previously. And I like to just weave the hairline just to give a softer effect when they put their hair up. And then the rest of the side, I am just going to continue that slicing pattern. But as I'm going up on the slide, I am taking a very slight diagonal back and then leaving a decent amount of spacing in between my foils. So when I do the sides, I will leave a little bit more, I would say about an inch of like space between the slices, just to kind of break it up. I'm not looking to have this part like super light or anything. I just want it a little bit broken up so that there is some lightness, but again, I don't want it to be too solid or anything. So I'm making sure that I'm leaving a decent amount of spacing in between my slices, because again, with this sort of gray blending technique, I want to do a placement where less is more in this situation. So after the application, I do pop the very ends of the foils into the dryer. I like to put it on like the lower side of medium to kind of help the ends catch up to the root, because I find that the root does process a little bit quicker because of the natural body heat. So real quick, I just wanted to show a little clip of what the hair looks like once it's done and ready to be rinsed. The lightener kind of has the slightest bit of blue tint to it, so that's when I know it's about a level 10. And the hair felt completely fine. It felt amazing because her hair is virgin and it can definitely get this light with this lightener. So now it's time for her toner, and when I do any of my gray blending looks, I always like to do a nice shadow root, just because I feel like it blends everything together and kind of gives that effect to where the roots are darker and it melts into the lighter tone. I just feel, as a personal preference, it looks a little bit better when it's darker at the root and gets gradually lighter towards the mid-lengths and ends. So for her root shadow, we're going in with a Liquid Demi 6-1, which is a level 6 ash. I really like the Pulp Bright ones that I'm using because it does give a grayish tone to the blonde areas, and this is gonna really just blur out all those lines that are right at the root and just kind of make everything look super seamless. And then after that, we are going in with my silver formulation. So I do a combination of the rapid toners using silver, violet, and moonstone, and I apply it on the mids first, and then we brush that through and then apply it on the ends. And notice as I'm toning her, I have not toned her hairline yet. I usually save that towards the very end after I have fully toned the back and I start to see that the toner is working, because I find that the hairline tones super quick because the hairs are a bit finer there. So I always like to save the hairline for last. And for this look, because she naturally is lighter in the front, I didn't shadow root her hairline in the front. I just applied the lighter silver toner at the root first, brushed it through, and then applied on the mid-lengths and ends around the front. And this is going to create an illusion to where the front is a little bit lighter than the back, since we didn't add that shadow root at the root for the whole hairline in the front. Alrighty guys, so here is the finished look. I was so obsessed with the way that this came out. I feel like it looks so natural, and you can see compared to how she came in, it looks way more even, and I love the way that the color just kind of melts from the root to the ends. It looks natural but also just very intentional as well too, and she was super happy with the way that it came out because she didn't feel like she was too blonde at all. It was the perfect amount of like dimension and everything. And by the way guys, for my toner, in person her hair did have a more violet hue. The camera doesn't really pick it up. In the camera it looks pretty true tone gray, but in person there is the slightest bit more of a violet hue. Just FYI if you were thinking of using the toner. So I feel like this is going to fade really pretty with her natural, and she can just maintain the tone of it with some purple shampoo at home and come in for toners occasionally to refresh the whole thing. Alrighty guys, that is it for this week's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching and tuning in, and as always, I will talk to you guys next week.